Hi, and welcome to DrupalBrief. This is an AI-generated summary of another video, podcast, or blog post. If you want to learn more about what's being discussed here, then please go check out the source. This podcast is produced by the team at Drupal Forge. Drupal Forge is the new #1 open-source development and hosting platform. It has all the functionality of the expensive platforms, but at very affordable prices. If you're looking for a new hosting provider, contact us for a demo before you get locked in. Okay, that's it. Make sure to click subscribe, and here we go.
All right, let's dive in. So imagine you've built this fantastic website, maybe an online store, and you really put in the work making it easy for people to find stuff. You added faceted search, those filters, size, color, brand, all that.
Yeah, great user experience usually.
Totally. But then you start noticing something. Something weird. Your hosting bill suddenly way up, the site feels kind of sluggish maybe, and the traffic numbers, they just don't line up with, actual customers. What's going on?
Well, chances are you're getting hit hard by bot traffic. And it's often targeting that exact feature you built to be helpful.
Exactly. And that's really our topic today. We're doing a deep dive into this surprisingly common and very current problem in web dev. Just excessive bot traffic hammering faceted search pages. We're going to unpack this using some insights from a recent chat on the Talking Drupal YouTube channel. They were focused on a brand new module built specifically for this.
Yeah, so our mission here, it's pretty straightforward. We want to understand why. Why are bots so attracted to these specific filter pages?
Right. Then we'll explore this tool, this module they discussed, that's designed to fight back. And then kind of zoom out a bit, see how this one problem fits into the much bigger picture of bots and AI traffic online. It's huge right now.
And for you listening in, the goal here is to make it really clear why this issue might affect you directly if you build or manage websites. And importantly, what kinds of strategies are actually out there to deal with it.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the root of the problem, it really comes down to understanding what faceted search is doing. Like under the hood, we all use it shopping online, right? Picking blue, size large, on sale. You're layering filters.
Right. Applying filters to narrow things down. And the reason this becomes such a bot magnet is, it's often about how those filters change the URL. Every time you click a filter select, deselect, it often adds parameters to the query string. So you get a unique web address for that exact combination of filters you just chose.
Oh, I see where this is headed. A bot, which just wants to crawl and follow every link it sees
these filters and thinks, wow, look at all these links I can generate. Potentially like an infinite number.
Precisely. Jackpot for the bot. And that's where the trouble really kicks in. Less sophisticated bots or ones just trying to map everything. They'll attempt to follow and index every single possible combination. Click this, click that, unclick this.
Every permutation.
Every single one. And if you have, say, 5 facets and each has 10 options, the number of URLs they can generate isn't just big. It's, the source material called it a geometrically expanding number of requests.
Geometric expansion. That sounds less like website traffic and more like a server meltdown waiting to happen.
It really can be. This flood of traffic, it's not people shopping. It's machines just hitting your site over and over, creating these endless filter combinations.
And the impact.
Well, huge stress on your server, your database, slows everything down for your actual users. But, and this is key, especially if you're on hosting where you pay per request or for bandwidth, this phantom traffic directly translates into real costs. High bot traffic means high bills. Simple as that.
Ouch. That's a painful link for anyone running a site. I like the example they gave in the source. It made it really clear. Building a Drupal commerce demo site with tons of facets, clothing types, sizes, colors, materials. You could literally watch the URL in the browser bar get longer and longer and longer as you click filters.
Yeah, it perfectly shows how a bot could just sit there generating millions of permutations very quickly.
Makes the abstract problem feel very real. You can see the path the bot takes.
And the chaos that results,
Okay, problem clear. Faceted search, potential bot honeypot, leads to this geometric traffic growth and rising costs. So what was the specific solution they talked about?
Okay, so that brings us to this pretty new module. It's called Facet Bot Blocker.
Facet Bot Blocker. Nice and descriptive. Tells you exactly what it does.
Right, no ambiguity there. And it was apparently created out of real need very recently, March 2025.
Wow, that is recent.
Yeah, by John Brandenburg of Forum 1. So it's only, a couple months old relative to when they were discussing it. But the fact that it popped up and is already being talked about really shows how how pressing this issue is for people.
So still pretty new then. What's its status? Is it being used?
Seems like it. The source mentioned it was at version 1.0.2, supports Drupal 10 and 11, looks actively maintained. Drupal.org apparently showed over 100 sites using it already.
Already. That's pretty quick adoption.
Yeah, and they even mentioned like a bug fix got merged just days before their recording. So yeah, active development, people are definitely picking it up.
Okay, so clearly filling a need right now. How does it actually work? How does it stop these bots?
The basic idea is actually pretty smart and relatively simple. It lets you set a limit, a maximum number of unique facet requests that any single user agent, basically one browser or one bot, can make.
Within a certain time frame, I assume?
Exactly, within a configurable time period. So you're not necessarily locking them on the first click or even the 10th. You're setting a reasonable threshold. You're saying, okay, click around a bit, maybe 50 combinations, fine. But after that,
You're probably a bot, so you're done.
pretty much. Once that bot hits the limit you set, any more requests that have, excessive facet parameters get blocked.
Or you can control how they get blocked.
Yeah, that's neat. You can choose the HTTP error code to send back like a 403 forbidden or maybe a 429 too many requests, which is quite appropriate.
Right.
And you can even display a custom HTML message, maybe something polite, maybe something less polite, depending on how annoyed you are.
Huh. Okay. Good to have options. And I recall a technical tip they mentioned. Something about performance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They strongly recommended using something like Memcache or Redis, if you have it, external caching. Well, instead of hitting your main database every single time a request comes in, just to check how many times has this bot hit a facet page, the module can store and check that count much faster in the cache.
Ah, smart. So the tool you're using to reduce server load doesn't end up adding a bunch of database load itself.
Exactly. Optimizing the defense mechanism, basically.
Got it. Now, this module sounds useful, definitely. But the source discussion, they were careful not to position it as like the ultimate silver bullet for all bot problems, right?
That's a really important point they made, yeah. Both the module's own description and the discussion were clear. If you have access to a proper web application firewall, a GORFER,
Like Cloudflare or Akamai, those kinds of services.
right, those are generally seen as, well, better, more robust solutions for overall bot management, security threats, the whole picture.
Because a GORFER sits out in front of your actual website.
Right.
It can filter lots of different bad traffic before it even reaches your server.
Exactly. It's a broader shield. So Facet Bot Blocker is best viewed as a really effective mitigation tool, specifically for this faceted search issue. It's great when maybe a full WAF isn't an option or isn't configured quite right for this specific scenario, or maybe you just need a quick targeted fix within Drupal itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Were there other ways mentioned to maybe architect your site differently to avoid this from the start?
Yeah, they did touch on some alternatives in how you build the search. One idea was using something like React or another JavaScript framework to handle the filtering on the client side.
So the page content updates, but the actual URL in the browser bar doesn't keep changing with every click.
Right. If the URL doesn't change, the bot doesn't see those endless permutations to crawl. Another idea was simpler. Just use drop-down menus for facets instead of plain links.
Because bots are less likely to interact with the dropdown compared to just following a tag link.
Generally, yeah. They're easier for bots to miss, but as they pointed out, the real appeal of Facet Bot Blocker
Is that it's a drop-in solution.
Exactly. That's the big win for existing sites. You don't have to rip out your whole search system or switch your front-end tech. You can install this module, configure it, and hopefully start blocking that specific problematic traffic pretty quickly.
Right, much lower barrier to entry for fixing an immediate pain point.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've drilled down into the specific problem, the specific module. Let's zoom back out now, because this whole faceted search bot thing, it feels like, well, pardon the pun, but just one facet of a much bigger trend online.
Oh, absolutely. It plugs directly into this massive increase in bot traffic we're seeing everywhere. And a huge driver of that now is AI crawlers.
Right, so it's not just Googlebot trying to index you for search results anymore. It's bots gathering data to train large language models, AI systems.
Precisely. They're slurping up content. And that creates this really fundamental challenge for anyone with a website.
Yeah.
How do you manage access for these new AI agents? How do you control what they take?
The source mentions something about an LLM BLAST-TXT standard.
Yeah, it's an idea that's floating around, kind of like the robots.txt file we've had for years, but specifically aimed at AI crawlers.
So a way for site owners to say, hey, AI bot, you can look here, but please don't scrape that.
That's the concept, trying to establish some ground rules. But the source also expressed some, let's say, healthy skepticism about it.
Why is that?
The view is kind of, well, why would these AI companies necessarily respect it? Especially commercial AI crawlers. Their incentive structure might be different from Google's, which relies on websites wanting to be indexed for traditional search.
And they mentioned seeing people ask in forums, like, wait, why don't we just use robots.txt? Or why assume they'll follow a new file if some ignore the old one?
Right. It just highlights how difficult it is to set these new norms and actually get compliance from all these different AI players. It's messy.
So what are companies doing in response? Any examples?
Well, the big players are reacting. Cloudflare, for instance, as a major WAF provider, they now offer a specific toggle, a switch in their dashboard.
To do what?
To just block known AI crawlers. A simple on-off switch.
Wow. Okay. And did the source mention how people are using that?
Yeah, and this was pretty striking. Based on a Cloudflare report, maybe slightly dated, but still indicative, something like 85% of the sites that enabled that feature, that used the toggle, they chose to block all AI traffic.
85%. That's huge. That sounds like site owners are really wary, maybe even scared of these AI bots just hammering their sites or scraping everything.
It definitely signals a strong default reaction. Just keep them out. And this is where the nuance comes in, which the source explored.
As a counter argument.
There is. And it's the idea that AI is or is becoming the new search.
Meaning people are using things like ChatGPT to find information instead of just Google.
Exactly. Asking questions, getting summaries, discovering things based on the web content these models have ingested.
Okay, so if you block all the AI crawlers...
Are you cutting yourself off? Are you making your content invisible to this potentially huge new way people find information or products? That's the dilemma.
Right. So blind blocking might feel safe, but it could hurt you long term.
Potentially. The source suggested maybe a more nuanced strategy is needed. Perhaps the goal shouldn't be a total block, but something smarter.
Like what?
Like maybe allow AI to access and ingest your truly valuable content, your product descriptions, your blog posts, your key service pages, the stuff you want people, and maybe AI summarizing for people, to find.
Okay.
But at the same time, firmly block the useless high-volume noise, like the endless permutations from faceted search filters. Those pages don't really offer unique value for an AI to learn from anyway.
To block the junk, allow the good stuff.
Kind of. Block the geometrically expanding noise, allow access to the curated, valuable information. That might be a more strategic way to get your content surfaced in AI answers, rather than just shutting the door completely and risking becoming invisible in this evolving landscape.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just a technical problem of server load. It's actually a strategic decision about visibility.
It absolutely connects the technical weeds to the bigger strategic picture.
Yeah. And just to underscore, this specific issue with faceted search bots, it's not some obscure thing, according to the source.
No, not at all. They really emphasize this is a hot topic in the Drupal community right now. People are actively dealing with it.
Any examples?
Yeah, they mentioned there was a whole session dedicated to it at a recent Drupal Dev Days event, specifically about mitigating bot traffic on faceted search. And even at MidCamp, there's an unconference table where people gathered just to hash out solutions for this exact problem.
Wow. Okay, that really brings it home. This isn't theoretical. It's a real current pain point developers and site owners are wrestling with now.
It definitely shows the community is aware and actively looking for answers. And this Facet Bot Blocker module is clearly one of the early direct responses to that shared need.
Okay, so quite the journey there. We started with that really annoying problem, way too much traffic hitting your filter pages.
Yeah.
We dug into why bots do that, the whole URL permutation thing. We looked at a specific tool, Facet Bot Blocker, designed to kind of push back against that specific behavior.
Right, a targeted mitigation.
And then we zoomed out to see how this fits into the much bigger context of managing all kinds of bots, especially these new AI crawlers, and deciding who gets access to what on your night.
Yeah, hopefully this whole deep dive has given you, the listener, a much clearer picture of what's often a really significant web problem, maybe some practical ideas if you're facing it yourself, or just some context for these broader shifts happening with web traffic and how content gets discovered now.
Definitely. And maybe here's something to chew on as we wrap up. Think about that Cloudflare statistic. Again, 85% of sites using their toggle chose to block all AI traffic. But then layer on that idea that AI is rapidly becoming a new form of search.
Yeah.
So what is the right balance for your site or the sites you work on? Is that total blockade the necessary protection you need right now? Or is it potentially holding your valuable content back from being found in the ways people are increasingly starting to search? Is a blanket ban helping or hindering?
It's a tough question.
It really is. Definitely something to think about.
Okay, we're done. To close off this podcast, I just wanted to remind you that this brief was a fully AI-generated summary, and we take no credit for the original content. If you want to learn more, then check out the source. This podcast is produced by the team at Drupal Forge. Drupal Forge is the new #1 open-source development and hosting platform. It has all the functionality of the expensive platforms, but at very affordable prices. If you're looking for a new hosting provider, contact us for a demo before you get locked in. And if you like this podcast, hit subscribe, post a link on social media, and recommend it to 2 friends. That's it. See you next time. Bye for now.